You are now listening to Carlie's Couch.
I'm Carlie.
And I'm Lex.
In this podcast, we discuss a wide array of topics about life and how to live your best life.
Whatever that looks like for you.
Hope y'all enjoy.
In this episode of Carlie's Couch, we explore the quote. We explore the quote, you should be with someone who loves you more than you love them.
Dun, dun, dun.
No laughing matter. Alas, once I can get my words together. Happy Monday.
Hello, or whatever day that you're tuning into us.
Welcome to Carlie's Couch. I'm Lextopia.
CC Fierce, Carlie Carpio in the building. How you feeling today, Lex?
I am feeling really good. I am chilling. It's like nothing feels too stressful. So yeah, I'm cool.
I like these mother of pearl earrings you got on.
Thank you.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Thank you. I'm trying to actually be cute on the couch for once. As of late, last couple months, been trying a little bit more.
She been cute on the couch. But we'll start with this week's question from the couch. Who is your unconventional celebrity crush?
The first one somebody said is Adam Driver.
No, they didn't say. They sent me a GIF, and I had to look that man up. Google image search.
But yeah, I get it. He's like kind of ugly cute, but he's kind of cute.
And then the second one is Willem Dafoe. I definitely called this man William earlier.
Yeah, you did. But that's okay. I feel like I always thought it was William until maybe a few years ago. Somebody said Tyler James Williams, which, yeah, he's
awkward.
Yeah, he's kind of awkward. But then they also said, and Kevin Costner. And like,
baby, he ain't unconventional. He's a crush.
Ain't nothing unconventional about Kevin Costner. So, okay.
Like Bodyguard Kevin Costner with Whitney Houston?
Right. You wild out. You wild. This next one, however. Yuck.
Pete Davidson.
Boo. Then somebody said Serge Tankian, and that's the lead singer of System of a Down. So
he be going in. The next person said Jeremy Irons.
I think he's attractive too.
I don't know
so I'm not mad at that. Yeah, you do. You have to look it up because I can't think of the movies right now. Besides Three Musketeers.
The next one said it's Plies, baby.
Yeah.
So you got to think for Kirk Franklin too, really.
Low-key, the next one's the funniest one. Miss Rachel. That's funny. And I was about to say, we ain't had no women on here.
That's the thing. It's the only one, and it was a conversation that I had. Someone was like, yo, Miss Rachel could get it.
Miss Rachel, that's funny. She'd be like, hello.
Good morning.
And then both me and Carlie were thinking the same thing. Peter Dinklage. But he's kind of cute, though.
He's handsome.
He's real suave.
I think so. I think he, could carry himself in a conversation.
Yeah, he's suave. I like him. I mean, but I kind of have a little phobia, but also, like, I'm not mad at that.
But then also I was like, is it rude to say unconventional because he's a little person?
Not any more than it's rude to say that because these other people are ugly. So
okay, fair. Okay, cool.
Like it's all the same.
All right. Okay, so thank y'all for answering. Next time we have another question to follow up. That'll be in a few months or whatever. But anyways, okay, so today's topic. When I was a young lass, I'm gonna say grandmother. My auntie went to prison, not jail, but prison. She was in prison, like the pen. But
what'd she do? Embezzlement?
Drugs.
Okay.
She was a dealer, baby. I don't know, but my mom was pissed because all of us were with her the day before she got arrested.
Oh, shit. She had all y'all locked
But
up.
I remember going to visit her in this jail and like having to go through all the little things in my little coat, and they had a little play area for me and my mom. Anyways, I didn't realize that was an untraditional experience until I got older. But I had an auntie that went to the pen, and she went in, loving men and came out loving women. Maybe she loved women before, who knows? But then I remember distinctly having lunch with her and her wife, Tiger, at the time. And Tiger was a great cook. So Tiger was cooking and my auntie was sweeping.
When she's out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She was sweeping and she was like, Carlie Ruth. Because that's Carlie Ruth. That's how my family says my name. They're like, you got to find somebody who loves you more than you love them. That's the only way relationships work. And from the time I was little, I thought that was the dumbest shit I'd ever heard. I was like looking at her and I was like, but that doesn't make sense. Why? And I remember like arguing with her and she would just tell me, no, when you get older, you'll learn and you'll figure it out and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm older and I still don't agree with that necessarily. So
what happened with her relationship?
They ended up breaking up and then Tiger died and she has not really had a partner after that. So, but, rest in peace to Tiger. And all of her other partners or anybody else that she dealt with. But yeah, it didn't work out that way. But I think she was saying it in reference because I do have an uncle who loves one of my aunties. Actually, two of them have husbands who would move, like literally would lasso the moon and move it for them if they wanted. Mm-hmm. And they just would do anything in their power to make these women happy who in society, some might consider them like a little bitchy or a little hard to deal with or whatever. Whipped. Yeah, like a little whipped or whatever. But, you know, and I don't know if she was talking about them because I don't know if he was even in her situation. But I've been seeing this quote a lot more. And so I was like, let's talk about this.
Yeah, I've seen these sentiments and the quote on probably Twitter and people talking about how, you know, the best way for relationships to work is if, you know, you find somebody who is more into you than you are into them. So what does that look like though? To be with somebody who loves you more than you love them.
Okay. So you're willing to, in my head, when I'm trying to talk my way through this, it means that like they're more scared of losing you than you are them. And so they put more into relationship. They try really hard to keep you or to keep, you know, taking care of you or to show you that they care and that you're loved. And so I think that's the idea, is to have someone who is so scared of losing you or someone who knows they can and maybe values you so much, but that's not even the same thing. It's like loving you more than you love them.
No, I think what you said is pretty spot on. And I like the way you described it because it's fear. So like to me, right, the first thing, like even when I hear this quote, well, I'm like, that's weird, is because love is love. And then fear is like the total opposite of that. And so it does feel like you want to be the one who's not vulnerable, or you want to be with somebody who feels more vulnerable, feels like they have something to lose. To me, it sounds like you're saying you need to be with a people pleaser, somebody who wants to do anything to please you and anything for you. So that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a relationship where you noticed that the love dynamic or the power dynamic was different? Like where they maybe loved you more?
Yes, but not that way. And the reason why I was like, I think about people pleaser and what you said, right, about maybe being scared to lose them, or you aren't empowered. I've been in those spaces where I know, like, okay, why am I the one, you know, doing everything or traveling to see you, or, you know, you're the one always upset because they didn't call you or whatever, right? Because I'm being that person who is, what's the attachment style of anxious?
Attached.
Yeah. So also this makes me feel like that. Like really what this sounds like is a quote from an avoidant to saying that you should have an anxiously attached person. But I have been that person, but I can't even imagine being with somebody who is like that, which is funny having been that person, because that very much annoys me when I can tell people like need me to do a certain thing or to be a certain way, or, you know, you feel like you can't be yourself in that space. So I feel like it does kind of take a little bit of a villain, somebody who probably enjoys 48 Laws of Power, to say this quote and really mean it in that way.
Yeah, because I thought back to like all my relationships, and I've often been the anxiously attached person, but once upon a time I was not. And he definitely loved me more than I love him. And I just didn't think it was fair. And I literally like broke up with this man. I was like, look, like the way you love me, I want you to find someone who loves you like that, because like, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, and this isn't fair anymore, you know. And I had to grow enough to be able to let that go. But I remember people were like, oh my God, I can't believe you broke up with him, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, guys,
you're just doing too much. You just weren't feeling it.
I wasn't feeling it, but he would have moved heaven and earth to try to, you know what I'm saying, be with me.
I can't, it's not enjoyable for me to be around anybody that I don't actually like. And so to me, it just feels like that's also a waste of my time. Like, sure, maybe there's some checkbox that's being checked about, okay, I'm getting the flowers, I'm getting calls and all this and that. And if I don't like you, it's just like, it doesn't matter to me.
It don't even hit the same.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like, and like the gifts, and like he bought things and did things, and like you said, it just didn't hit the same. So even if we're talking about pros and cons about being in a relationship with someone who like loves you more. Yeah. So yes, those things, but it just doesn't even mean the same thing. So I don't even know if I would really consider that a pro. Before we get into cons, are there any pros?
Sure. I think a pro to being with somebody who's anxiously attached is that you have control. I think a pro is having the control. And in this case, I guess you like that more than you want to be in a vulnerable relationship or you know, be in a equal relationship. What else? I guess power is the same thing as control.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, you do. You have more control, power.
You might feel safer.
Yeah, and because of that, you might feel safer. It's like you are the driver of the car. The car is your relationship, and you are the driver. And So whatever you want to be happening can potentially happen.
Okay.
That's a good pro. I mean, if that's what you care about most.
But I feel like the pros don't outweigh the cons. So I feel like the cons are more important than that. So if you're in this space where like you only want to be in control and only feel safe because you're fear led, like I feel like you're kind of missing out on like the depth and the beauty of love, like essentially, or how amazing it can be if you're not really feeling a person like that. Like if you like love them or they're only filling a space or just so you could get married or, you know,
security then would be another pro.
Yeah, so security for sure is a pro, but like
I guess
it could be depending on who you are and what you want.
Yeah.
But I feel like some people might risk security, like because they think that that's more important than actually experiencing a deep love or an exciting love or a love that like, I don't know. I'm a hopeful romantic.
You are. So I will agree with you that you are for sure sacrificing an element of love. And maybe I would dare to say that if you are thinking and in a relationship that matches this quote, that you are not loving, that you're not loving that person really at all. And quite frankly, you're not probably allowing that person to love you because they're probably not even seeing the full you and the real you. And so with that in mind, I will agree with what you're saying, that you are missing out on a full experience of not having to have a mask on. Like, to feel this way, regardless of which person you are, you have a mask on. And I think that happens so often in loving relationships where either if you get to a point where you put a mask on or you start like that and you never really let them in. And I think that does hinder the experience, the romantic experience for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of ends up settling for both parties because if you're not really loving them like that, then they're not able to receive and be like, know what it's like to be that person's like the doting object of affection or any of those things. And so I feel like it just kind of is a fearful state to be in and everybody ends up settling.
Because also there's so many different ways you can change this quote and it's saying the same thing, because also what you're saying is you should love somebody who doesn't love themselves or who is more afraid of losing you than loving themselves is also saying the same thing. And so it's like, why would you want somebody in that space? Well, like to say the quote, right? Because a lot of times we can live in this and maybe we're not thinking about it like that evilly and directly. But you know, there are people who, like you said, even like with your aunt, who say this and this is what they mean is like, hey, I need them to be more scared and I need them to be afraid of you. I've seen people say that too, where like, for a relationship to work, you got to be afraid of your wife. I've seen that too. And maybe that's not exactly the same, but all of it kind of leads to the fact where you're not allowing that person to love themselves first and then love you through that lens of loving themselves. Like all of that is where you really have something beautiful.
And I think it comes from a place of like scarcity, a place of trauma, like a place of not wanting to be vulnerable because maybe you have been hurt before or not thinking you're worthy. Like kind of also too.
For
like,
the person saying the quote?
Yeah, because it's like...
Yeah, you're very scared. You are scared. Yeah, anytime I have been not very vulnerable in a relationship or with somebody, it's because you're afraid. But yeah, what should it be instead then? Like, you should want to, is it right to also then say, okay, you should love somebody who loves you, you know, who loves each other equally?
That's a good question. I think, I don't know about it loving equally, because I think like during different times and maybe what's going on that like, you know, it might like one day I might love more, they might love more, but I think it's important. Yeah, like depending on what's happening. I love Brene Brown talked about how, you know, one day it's 80 me, 20 him, next day it's 100 him, 0 me, because I ain't have it. You know, you got to find, so all of that to say, I think you should find someone who has the capacity to love you as much as you love them, or like around the same. We're not measuring in grams capacity or any of that.
Like emotional intelligence.
Yeah, emotional intelligence, but also willingness, commitment to being vulnerable. Like they're in it as much as you are. And you got to find somebody who can meet you on that level, like being willing to grow. Because I don't feel like relationships are easy, even when you quote unquote find the right person or any of that. I think that it's work and super beautiful work, but it still can be work nonetheless, because life can be hard, and it's important to find somebody who has the capacity and is also willing to do the work.
Yeah. Because also, I guess kind of with what you're saying too, we're not even just talking about at that base heart level of like love. Like maybe it doesn't turn off and on like every other day, but it's in being able to really express and live that through your actions and all that. Like, yes, we don't always have that in us every day. So I like that you want to make sure that you find a partner or find somebody that is as committed to the same things as you, which to me sounds like it's important to have a lot of clarity about what you want. So that does require vulnerability. So two people have to be being very honest with each other is kind of the key to all of that. I think it's still kind of weird to think about it like saying somebody needs to love you as much as you or less than, more than. But even that as much as, it's like, let's, like, I don't know, this might be being too esoteric, but like, let's like just love the person, right? So you are focused on, I'm going to, if you make this decision to love this person, love them, do what that entails. And that's kind of all you should be worried about. Like, and then you see what happens, right? You're seeing, is this person saying and showing that they love me too? Are they not? How are they doing it? You know, are we able to communicate and blah, 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 blah. And if not, then it's like, okay, cool. Because I loving myself more than loving you, then I'm going to make the decision to love you from over here. And, or maybe, you know, maybe we're fine. But I think it takes something, and it's very hard to do this, but I think that there's something to really like going all in. And again, if you're making that decision and saying you love somebody, not talking about like the people who say like, I love you on the first date. But if you're going to love somebody, like that's what you're thinking is love them. And the moment you start being like, I don't know, like how do they feel? What is this? What is that? What is that? Now you're not, I don't know, you're not being honest with your own kind of instincts and your own insights of what you're thinking. You're moving out of fear as soon as you ask questions.
And I think that like love is so beautiful, and I try to love like that, like love just to love, but I also it is a little scary and it's hard, and we've all been hurt because we're all trying to figure this shit out, and life can be all these things. But it's like I feel like that's the most honest version, is like I love you and I love me enough to like respect myself and like move if I need to, but it never becomes like my love for you never becomes more important than me doing all the things I need to for myself. And I think that that's not something a lot of people talk about in relationships. I feel like now with a lot of the rhetoric, it can be so easy to lose yourself. And I feel like that's important to make sure that you don't lose yourself in someone or in a relationship, because then it's like, what do you bring into the relationship if you lose yourself?
Yeah. And we've all been there before, where all of a sudden you're just like, this ain't even how I act. I'm not usually this insecure. I like myself better. And like we always talk about how then when you in that relationship and all of a sudden you start to do all these hobbies and have fun and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, why lose yourself? Because you let fear take over, essentially. And that is a very difficult thing. I think as I've moved on from a relationship to the next, that's one thing that I always start to go in now trying to be like, okay, who am I? You know, and also because that people like who you are when they meet you, right? And then it seems like, oh, things change. But like, who am I? And trying your best to maintain it. Like, okay, you're not become this bum who's like in bed all morning with them, you know, now that you're in a relationship, or now you don't care about your hobbies. Now you don't call your friends. So really trying to go in and focus on that. So a lot of this boils down to, I would say, is really loving yourself. I think if you're the person opposite that quote, then it's kind of showing like there's something going on with you. If you're the person saying this quote, there's something going on with you because you're looking for an easy way out. You're looking for the benefits without putting in the efforts. And at the end of the day, that kind of just leads to it's a losing formula. So why not move through things and love each other, even if that means it's over more quickly, and then you move on to, you know, bigger, different things, as opposed to being in this space, which goes to what we were talking about a couple episodes ago with the being casual about things as well. So the scarier things are, as weird as it sounds, because, you know, also I am saying things that I 100% don't always do. So keep that in mind. But the scarier things are, it really is so much better. Like, it's just, it makes your space better.
It's like the quicker you face those fears, the quicker you find out who you are, what you need, what you want, what you're willing to put up with, what you're not. And that's like how you find your person. If you're always playing it scared, or people, whatever, you're never going to find the people who actually meet you, and you'll never find yourself. And so, like, I hope that y'all, you know, take chances in love. Like, love is meant to be loved. Life is meant to be lived, all those good things. But, like, think about what's keeping you from really loving someone or from being in a space where someone treats you better and treats you like you deserve.
Yeah. So think about that. Let us know your thoughts on the quote. You should be with somebody who loves you more than you love them. Let us know in our comments. Leave us 5 stars. Leave us a review this week. And thanks for listening. As always, we'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.